So I'm going back through a quick review. We're back in week 3 and we're going to go through these pretty quickly. Remember on week 3, that's when we learned about evaluating your resources, looking at enterprise assessment. And this was an excellent publication that all of us recommend that you take a look at. You probably already have in your readings and assignments. Craig went on to discuss gross profit analysis in this week. Good for evaluating your current enterprises and how they're actually performing and looking at potential new enterprises, comparing one enterprise with another, and risk assessment. I really thought this was an interesting slide because it shows how income is visibly, you can see it visibly, different from your gross profit. So in A, even though your total income is higher, your gross profit is a lower percent than in B. So just a visual comparison for gross profit analysis. This slide kind of showed the comparison between two enterprises, garlic and spinach in this case. And this didn't include the labor, which would be a critical component of this, but as Craig pointed out, that gross profit analysis is just one test. It does not ensure profitability, and there's a lot of other things to account for, and particularly your time and labor. In this session, we also covered record keeping, and Diane showed us how she keeps records, her file folders, her harvest records, and nothing fancy, but she's getting everything down. So it's not how you keep records, it's that you do keep them and you keep good records. And Diane is an excellent example of that. Diane introduced us to this publication, which a couple of our students that we're going to hear from today referenced as a good publication that they found useful. This is by Richard Kartner. He's a retired extension economist from WSU, plus him and his wife Terry Kartner have Terry's Berries, which is a very successful farm in Western Washington. So he knows the small farm business and he knows accounting. So recommend that. Diane introduced QuickBooks and Microsoft Excel as, you know, some possible ways that are first steps for people getting your records in order. Now John just had some comments about QuickBooks, so I'm not too sure about that, but we'll direct those questions at John when we get to the question and answers. So week 4 we started selling into different markets, and if you remember, Mimi Fueling came on and told us about her operation, and then she told us about how she markets through Six Rivers Market, which is an online marketing venue, and we talked about Idaho's Bounty, which is a similar online food cooperative in southern Idaho, and these two are great examples of kind of a different way to market something to supplement your other marketing venues, and so I thought this was a real interesting approach. In selling into different markets, there are ways that you can get some certificates, either certified organic, certified naturally grown, biodynamic, that will help you brand your product that will meet the needs of special markets. We talked about the fact that going into different markets means that you have to research the regulations, because just because you sell lettuce at the farmer's market may not have the same regulations or the same requirements for you if you're selling it to a restaurant. So that was a good tip. Another thing, Diane introduced us to managing risks and the big 5 types of agricultural risks. And I'm not going to go into details of those, but she did talk about that in that session. It was very useful. By week 5, we were talking about market assessment. Mary did an excellent job of taking us through many tools to look at assessing your current market or expanding your market. I like this one because we talked about your personality and how that influences the marketing venues that might be appropriate for you. We talked about a lot of different opportunities and how to look at what markets aren't being served, and staying ahead of the trends is how you stay ahead of your markets. She also brought up a very interesting concept about, or the different ways to look at setting your prices: value-based, competition-based, and cost-based pricing. And I'm not sure how you're all doing pricing. It seems to be a question that comes up at a lot of our workshops, but I do hope that you're pricing so that you cover your costs. Just a word from word for the wise, I guess. This was really interesting when Mary discussed the big 4 of marketing more and looking at these 4 different concepts as ways to boost your sales or have new products or reach new markets. I thought that was really interesting, Mary. By week 6, we were hearing from the markets, and that was really a good one, where we heard from 4 different people. One of them was Lisa from the Capital City Market, and I just took notes during all of their talks because I was so interested, and I just captured some of their notes here for you. I won't read through all of these. I do remember Lisa was talking a lot about customer service and how that was critical, and she thought it would be very helpful if vendors worked more hand in hand with their market managers, you know, because making the farmer's market better helps you as a vendor in that market. All of our speakers, these 4 speakers that Mary interviewed, provided ideas of opportunities and gaps in the markets that they thought that could be filled, and Lisa gave some of her ideas here. Then we heard from Matt, who was at the Boise Co-op and talked about going into retail stores, and he really emphasized of developing that relationship between the vendor and the restaurant buyer or the retail store buyer. Remember, he had experience at the Red Feather restaurant, and so he had perspectives from both of the co-op and a restaurant. And he did say, you know, you can do this with a handshake agreement, but hold each other accountable. So, you know, it's going to vary where whatever retail or restaurant you're working with, but I got a good sense of the importance of relationships in his discussion. Okay, I'm losing my forward here. There. Then we heard from Guy Hand talking about all the inspiring stories that he's researched and going around from farm to farm around Idaho and the Pacific Northwest, and really identifying something unique to do and branding your product was something that he captured. And then we heard from Ed, who brought the producer's perspective, and he emphasized advertising and developing label recognition. I'm going to go a little faster. We looked at week 7 at labor. We did have Linda from the Department of Labor talking to us about farm labor contractors. Wasn't really sure if this would apply to some of you now, but it may in the future, and it may become a more useful way for small farmers to approach labor through a contract.